Hi, folks. I'm at the Amistad. I don't know if that'll be backwards or not, but Amistad National Recreation Area. And here's a map. I'm on Spur 406. And there's a lake here. And there's the Rio Grande River. And it says something about a 6-mile long bridge or something like that. If you want to go on to there it is, there's a dam. If you want to go onto the dam and see some sculpture, you have to have a passport. That's about how close I am to the Mexico border. It's something I haven't seen before. This is a solar-powered fee station. you you get your camping pass using a credit card out in the middle of nowhere. No power. There are no services here. There is a weak internet signal. Apparently, it's good enough to run this silly solar-powered payment machine. What a hoot. I'm not sure what's up with the lake, but you drive down that road, and it looks like at some point you could have just kept driving. But now I suppose you could use the road as a boat ramp. The lake's in the way. But the lake's not what it used to be, I'm sure, because my campsite right here has this little short road right there. That's not a road. That's a steep incline. And the only thing I can figure is that it was a boat ramp at one point, and all of that green stuff out there is probably where the lake was at. But it's not there now. In fact, there's something at the bottom of this. That's the bottom of this thing is less than 100 yards from here, and there's nothing but looks like a dry creek bed. But there's a vault toilet over there. There's my truck, of course. Something I haven't showed you. I'm getting quite a few of these stickers about places I've been. But I haven't showed you this part. Silver Alert escape pod. If you're not familiar with the Silver Alert, a Silver Alert is when, usually it's a guy, when the old man runs away and his kids don't know where he's at anymore, and so they put out a Silver Alert. And what they do is they will say what kind of vehicle he's driving and what the license plate number is. So be on the lookout. And I've seen that every time I come to Texas, I see these. I don't think Silver Alert's just a Texas thing, but you'll see these big billboards, the kind that light up on the big highways. As soon as you come into Texas, you see Silver Alert, be on the lookout for such and such, license plate such and such. So I was preemptive. I put Silver Alert escape pod on the back of my truck. So anyway, I figure that just lets, if nothing else, it probably lets the police know that there's an old man in here. Hopefully they will be a little forgiving whenever I'm not quite, if I look lost or something like that. Last night, I'll get to that in a minute. So I'm under my shelter now, and it's a metal roof shelter. That should stop the sun. I've been, the last It wasn't just but a few days ago, and it was getting down into the 20s at night. The wind's blowing my phone. That's why it's moving. Um, it's in the 80s now, and you know that there's nobody in this park right now, as near as I can tell. I drove down the road to see the lake, and there was a big boat out there. It didn't look like a fishing boat that I'm accustomed to, but it probably was. It had a roof over it. It wasn't a houseboat, but I guess that's a roof heating up. But I drove down there. I didn't see any other vehicles, and whoever had that boat didn't start here. He started someplace else because there's a boat ramp down there, but there were no vehicles there. So I'm here by myself, and it's warm enough that that shower is going to feel good. I'm definitely going to take a shower. Dos Equis. I know it's only 1 o'clock, but I'm done driving for the day. Yesterday I had a long drive. I stayed in a Texas park last night. No. I stayed in a Texas park night before last. I just crossed into Texas out of New Mexico, and I stopped at I've been to about 3 different places since I made a video, I think. I went to an observatory near Fort Davis, Texas, and there was a roadside park there. It was a nice park. They had about 6 places to camp. It was quite nice. No facilities whatsoever. I gotta put my glasses back on. The sun's bright. And then a couple of days ago, I stopped at a state park, and they had a hot shower. That was wonderful. But that was 2 or 3 days ago. Last night, I stayed at a picnic area. Actually, what happened was I was planning to spend the night at a place called Elephant something or another wildlife management area. I didn't understand this, but I was allowed to use that facility for camping, but I had to have a Texas hunting license or a Texas special use permit. And I'm familiar with those kind of things. Virginia has one too. If you're going to go out into public land where people hunt, it's not at all unusual for you to need just a permit. Usually it's only a couple of dollars. It's not as expensive as a hunting license or anything like that. And I don't know how much this permit was going to be for Texas because I didn't have one. I've got an all water Texas fishing license. It means I go anywhere in the state and go fishing, including saltwater. I'm a little confused though, because why would my fishing license not apply to allow for camping on Texas state property? If a hunting license will let me stay there, it seems the fishing license should too, because I'm paying for fish and game, and they're usually one or very closely related. But anyway, and that's neither here nor there. There was no internet access, and the sign said expect a fine if you camp here without one of these 2 documents, and there was no internet access whatsoever, so I could not get I couldn't get one of these permits. So I would love to get one of those little Starlink minis. I could run that with my solar power, and that would give me internet access. But oh, they're too expensive. They're way too expensive to. I may end up with one anyway sooner or later because I don't have internet access just a whole lot of times when I'm out in these kind of places. Uh, but I couldn't stay there, and so I thought, well, I'll just get on the road. And you see camping signs frequently, or signs that give an indication that I could pull off to the side of the road and be okay. And I headed on down south towards Big Bend National Park. And I got there. A couple of things. There were RV parks, and still, I didn't even bother. I don't like private RV parks. They don't like me, and I don't like them. And I know they would be expensive. I don't know whether I posted that video where I ranted about RV parks or not, but they don't like truck campers. There wasn't any place I could go to for a reasonable fee. So I got on to, I think it was recreation.gov, to find campsites in Big Bend, because they got lots of camping there. Well, the only place that was available was hike-in tent sites. And, you know, I could maybe have gotten one of those and just not hiked in. There's got to be a place to park. If you're going to hike into a campsite, you got to park your vehicle someplace. And if I close my vehicle and lock everything up, there's nothing saying I'm back there. I've got all the windows blacked out, that sort of thing. But anyway, I didn't do that. So I drove through. Who knew that kind of stuff was in Texas? A beautiful park, very sharp, craggy mountains, although I couldn't see the very tops because the clouds. It was a beautiful park. I drove all the way through it, got out of it, and Main Park Road or something, it's called something like that, heading north. I got out of the park and I kept my eyes open, and there was a roadside picnic area where there was a picnic table and a shelter similar to this and a trash can. Double. There was one on one each end. And so I pulled in there thinking, I'm tired, I'm ready to spend the night someplace. And I look around and I see the sign, and the sign says, as long as I don't set anything up or start fires or do any of that kind of stuff, I can use it for 24 hours. So it was relatively flat. I hopped in the back of my truck, shut things down, locked the doors, and I was good for the night. Well, bear in mind how close I am to the border. There are all sorts of border patrol around here. In fact, I'll be a little surprised if I don't see one cruise through here sooner or later. But there were one of the border patrol trucks, it was an SUV kind of thing, pulled up, was not exactly beside me, but he stayed he didn't pull into the picnic area. He pulled onto the shoulder of the road, which is right next to the picnic area, and he was about 3 car lengths away from me. And he sat there for 20 minutes or so. Never came up to me, but I know he surely ran my license plates and that sort of thing. Eventually, he never got out of the vehicle. There were 2 of them, but he turned around. It was a very low traffic road. He just crossed the road and left. And I leaned out of my truck. As soon as he pulled up, as soon as I knew he was there, I opened my back window because it was closed. And I kind of leaned on my tailgate just so they could see me and see who I was, visually. And as they when they eventually left, I was getting cold. I was ready to shut things down. I was glad they left because I didn't want to close the window until they had left, in case they needed to come see me about something. So they left, and I waved at them, and they didn't wave back. But they didn't bother me. They just I appreciate them being there. I did not feel threatened in any way by being there. Not that I felt them threatening, but I did not feel like I was in an unsafe spot, despite being right on the road, right off the road, I should say. So that was actually a good place to spend the night. And this morning when I got up, I didn't make coffee or anything. I just got up, put my moccasins on, got in the truck, and started driving. 3 or 4 miles later, there's a border patrol checkpoint. I don't know what they call them. There's a sign, but I don't remember what it said. But if you haven't been through one, what they do is they shut down one direction of traffic. Now, I don't know whether they sometimes reverse it and shut down the other direction of traffic, but they will put a barrier between the lanes, and I've only seen them on 2-lane highways so far. They put a barrier between the lanes so you can't go from one lane to the next, and then they put traffic cones to guide you. If you're going in that direction, they will guide you into a shelter, and there's usually a building there of some sort, but there's also an overhead shelter, and it's big enough that you can drive 18-wheelers through it without any problem. And there's some speed bumps. And then this last time I went through one, there was only one person there, but this time there was a person on each side of the road inside this shelter, and they're border patrol people, and they ask if you're alone. And the first time I said yes. He waved me on through. This time he asked if I was alone, and he said, "You come all the way from Virginia?" Because he looked at my license plate. I said, "Well, yes, I'm on my way to Houston to see my daughter, but I went from Virginia through South Dakota and Wyoming to get back down to Texas." He wished me, I didn't see any reason not to tell him. He wished me on my way, and it was fine. But I've seen all sorts of border patrol on this road. This road that I'm following has to be the last road that you can be on before you get to the Mexican border, or at least the last paved highway. There's nothing else on the map that I can tell. And right now, I can't. I've got to be very close. According to that map over there where I paid for my camping site, I just kind of eyeball it. If I were to get in the lake and swim, I would get to Mexico. Oh, those are airplanes. I hear airplane noises. Anyway, I'm surrounded by birds and all alone out in the middle of nowhere in the desert. Oh, there's one thing. If anybody knows what these signs say, I didn't. There was enough traffic on the road that I didn't want to pull over to the side. But there are signs along the road. I'm on US 90 in the southern part of Texas. Actually, is that the Boot Hill that goes down where Big Bend is? I'm crossing over that the hump to go down towards the Gulf. I've still got a long ways to go, of course. But on that road, I saw something really curious. And you're driving along, and sometimes it's kind of mountainous, sometimes it's hills, sometimes it's just flat. Desert as far as you can see. And especially where it's flat, I see these, you see like a stop sign, you're looking at it like that, or a speed limit sign. I was seeing signs that were turned on edge, so you can't read them. Doesn't matter which direction you're traveling, you can't read the signs. And there's usually 2 signs, 1 on each side of the road, or 4 signs total, 2 on one side of the road and 2 on the other, and they're facing away from the road. They have to be signs that say something for people wandering around out in the desert. And I assume that I probably wouldn't be able to read them even if I did see what they said. But you would have to stop, get out of your vehicle, and walk around off the road a little bit, and then look towards the road to be able to see the sign and read it. Sooner or later, I'll find somebody to ask, and I will inquire about what those signs were. Anyway, such is this travel. And I'm going to call this one, I think, Senior Alert Getaway Pod, even though it doesn't tell where I'm at now. But I just want to tell you about why I put that on my truck. It's just fun.